Hi there, I'm here with Talk About Art, and I'm going to show you a kind of whole modelling clay that you can make called paper clay. It doesn't actually have any clay in it, it's made of paper pulp, and then you mix that with PVA, flour and oil. And so I just tore up bits of scrap paper and then I soaked them overnight, and so they were all completely absorbed with water, and I blended it with the hand blender. But I'll show you, I'll include a link to have a look at the different steps of making it, and also images of like what the stages look like and kind of quantities as well. But then from that I kind of made this. It's like paper pulp mixed with glue, flour. Then you can then model and mold. And so you can just model it freeform if you like, which does work. It does look kind of like clay, it needs support as well. So you need to see how far you can, you can kind of push it, but then you kind of need to sort of do it kind of gently at times. And then what you can do is then you can either just do it with it as it is, and you can make quite a nice delicate shape, so you can make it into like a kind of a point at the end, or you can model onto things, and you can also create sort of almost like a PVA, like how you would with PVA glue and paper. So if you did paper mache, you can do something similar or basically the same with this paper clay, this paper. And so firstly, one thing that you can do is you can create a skeleton, like the main shape that you want to make out of cardboard. So I kind of did this tree shape. So I just cut out some cardboard and then I stuck it like kind of a trunk, and then brought out these kind of edges here. And then you can kind of cover that with paper clay. So you just get small bits at a time and then you stick those on. And then there might be holes up here, so you just want to cover those back over as well. And I've actually just like created a base of paper clay and then stuck that into it on this plastic lid. And so that's one way that you can make shapes using the paper. And then another thing that you can do is that you can model over objects. So for example, this one here I made by putting it over a lid, and so one side is kind of more bobbly and then the other side is really smooth, and then that kind of has some really beautiful kind of flicks of colour that appeared naturally in the paper. And then you can do it over all sorts of shapes. And so I've got this one, I made this kind of almost like a wave hook shape, and I did that by just putting it over a jar. And then you can go quite big as well. So I went over a bowl and I made this one here. If you're going to do it over a bowl, make sure you put cling film on there as well, because otherwise it's quite hard to get off. And so yeah, so you can make all sorts of shapes, and then you can draw into them with a pen. So you can just use a biro pen if you want and create different kinds of patterns on top. If you want to get ideas of patterns, a really good thing to look at would be Japanese ceramics, and also you can just look up textile patterns. I've got this book on Japanese art. Or you can just look at objects and you see it's very much inspired by kind of leaves and waves, and so you can kind of look around you outside at like nature and get ideas of repeating patterns that way that you might want to put on kind of sculptures you put on. And then I'll put a list of sculptors to look at as well, so you can think about different ideas of shapes and what you might want to make. And then when you've made these sorts of things, you could even join them together as well. So you can make all sorts, you can put holes into it so they can hang. And then you can add to it with more of this paper PVA clay that we've made. So yeah, just have a look around, see if there's any objects that you want to have a make a go at making a cast of. And you can make it quite thin. You just take off little pieces at a time. You see, and then you just sort of squash them on that way. And you can kind of push it around the surface. Just be aware that you want to be able to get it off again as well. So say you were to do it around a ball, you wouldn't be able to do the whole thing because you wouldn't be able to get it off again. Whereas like if it's just on one side of a lid, then it's easy. And then when it dries, the way I got it off is I just got a knife and I just put it in between the layers, and then it came off really easily. It takes about a day and a night to dry, so give it plenty of time. And when it's dry, you'll definitely know, and it'll be easy to get off. So yeah, enjoy having a go with some paper clay.